And now on Tuesday night, we're back at St Mary's to face Leicester. And I'm pleased to say that Reedy from Leicester Fan TV is back with us to help preview the game. Welcome back to TSP, Reedy. How are you? All good?
Yeah, all good. It's been a few bad years for hopefully both of us. So back to championship action. Let's go.
You're in a safe space. You're amongst friends. I think it's probably fair to say you were expecting things to be a little bit easier this time round. It's been a tough start, hasn't it? Like us.
I think from what I've seen so far this season, in a weird way, it sounds like it's the league got worse because a lot more teams are drawing more games and whatnot. But overall, I wouldn't say we were going to run away with it like we did last time. But I thought we'd be doing better than we are at the moment.
I think someone after the game yesterday said you've been grinding rather than flowing. Is that a fair kind of summary? I assume they were talking about the game.
Yeah, we have been. Yeah, that's been our season so far. Again, we're struggling now without the striker up front in Vardy. A lot of other players have not been doing what they did 2 years ago, and don't get me wrong, we're still scoring goals, but we're not scoring enough goals to win the game. And like I say, that there's been times now, I think that probably 5 or 6 games at home this season where we've gone 1-0 up and probably deserve to be cruising in that time, and then just suddenly just drop off and we can see the goal and it always ends up in a draw and we just go, what, there's another draw for us. But yeah, I think the wins we've got, I think we've deserved them. I think the draws we've got, we probably could have edged them and got a win. But like you said, it's not been the easiest league so far this season.
And you had a lot of turmoil in the summer as well, didn't you? Like we did. You know, it's always difficult when you come down, and then there's been a lot of change and new manager as well. So, you know, what were the expectations? Were you expecting it to be a toughie?
Going down from last season, I was kind of hoping that we probably would be in the top six majority of the season. I think again the biggest loss of losing Vardy, I think that's cost us
Yeah.
massively because now we've got 3 strikers who, in total at the moment, scored 4 goals only just because of yesterday's goal. It was free. But yeah, I think we're not to the level we need to be at the moment. But I think we're slowly creeping up there, and hopefully after Tuesday night, depending on what that result is, we've got another Saturday game against Sheffield United, which, again, if we look at it, if that's 6 points or 4 points or even 3 points, we're slowly creeping up back to the league where we want to be.
You started to turn it around though. The form is looking a bit better. I think won the last two, or undefeated in the last two after a couple of about 3 games in a row, wasn't it? That you lost, I think, and then you started to sort of turn things back around a bit.
Yeah, we were quite fortunate to beat Norwich in the game before the international break. We scored very late on with one of our better players this season in Jordan James. And then normally after the international breaks, because there's been a few already, we've always not really kicked on from that international win before the international break. And this time we have. We obviously got a result yesterday against. Trying to think who we played now. It feels like it was ages ago.
Stoke, was it?
That was it, Stoke. Yeah, again, a team in form, top third in the league. We weren't expecting to go in there and win, but again, the last few results have kind of gave us a bit more positivity. And I think the biggest thing about yesterday was the fact that 2 players one who hasn't scored in nearly a year in Dakar, Mabadidi, who hasn't scored or I don't think even assisted this season, scored yesterday, which gave him a bit of confidence as well. So hopefully we can kind of push on from yesterday.
So what can we expect from Tuesday night? Who's going to cause us some problems? How are you going to set up for this one?
So this is the thing. I would say the first name is Fatawu, but the last few games, I think a lot of teams have sussed us out in the fact of if you just put 2 or 3 men on him, he's not going to even get touched. So it's hard because again, we're not going to say any of the strikers because if they don't score, we're not going to be shocked. Mabadidi, maybe if he scored, he could kind of cause a bit of a threat, but I think other than that, I think I've got to have to say Jordan James because this season, since he brought him in on loan, he's been one of the probably the best players and one of the better quality players we've got since he's joined. So that's really it. Really, I think at the moment this is the thing. This is probably why we're not in the position we want to be because not really any of our players are performing to the highest abilities.
It's going to be a different game, isn't it, Glenn? Had we played this at the start of the season, I know it's only been a few weeks, but I think we'll be a little bit more confident potentially going into this. Otherwise, it could have been quite a turgid affair.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season it would have been two teams who were, both getting to grips with having different players and playing a different way, different managers. I was surprised that Cifuentes got the Leicester job, to be honest, because I didn't think what he'd done at QPR really warranted getting that job. There was a couple like that, like Rob Edwards when he got the Middlesbrough job. I didn't think he deserved that. So I don't really know. I'll be interested in what you think of Cifuentes. But I look at Leicester's team on paper, and there are still some very good players in there. I think what will give us a few problems. I've looked at the midfield you had out yesterday was Skip and Winks, and whilst that's not the quickest about the park, that's a lot of experience there. Good players, so that'll be an interesting battle because when we played against Charlton, we had a 20 and a 21-year-old in there, I think, or they might be 19 and 20, both, and got a combined weight of about 12 stone between them. So that will be an interesting battle in the centre of midfield. But Leicester are always, it's Fatawu every time. Fatawu against Ryan Manning is just horrible. It was just been horrible. The last few seasons that's come about. It's just been awful. So we've obviously got to have a better plan than we have had to sort him out. And Mavididi has caused us problems as well. So
Glenn, would you do something as bold as to bring Wellington in against Fatawu, or even though Manning has scored and all this kind of thing?
If Tonda is going to be more concerned about the defensive side of things, he may think after Saturday that we can go in and blow them away. I think that would be slightly foolhardy thing to do because Leicester are a much better side than what we've played under this manager so far. But yeah, you could certainly try Wellington, or at least have him as an option to bring on at half time if Manning is struggling. Manning's good going forward. We've always known he's relatively good going forward, but I think he's a terrible defensive player. It's like yesterday. He had to go at shoving their forward into the goalkeeper, didn't he? And it's just like, just defend properly. Just stop being an idiot. But he seems incapable of doing that. So that is one area that does worry me. If assuming that Fatawu plays out on the right, I assume he still does. So they're the sort of areas that concern me a little bit about Leicester. I think they're a good side, but you can see just from that team on paper, it's not the most inspiring team from a going forward point of view, apart from those two guys on the wing. I don't know much about the Jordan Jones. Where's he from? He's on loan from somewhere.
He was at Birmingham 2 years ago, and he scored 2 goals against us for when we played them 2 years ago. Because Birmingham got relegated, he left to go to Rennes in the French league. I don't think he was getting into their team, so we looked to snap him up on loan. And I think if we wanted to get him, he's only £5 million. So right now, I'm just like, when can we do it? Because at the moment, he's probably a bargain at that price.
He's a Welsh international, Glenn, who obviously my head scout, George, has said, to be fair, is a very good player and someone to watch out for.
Was the plan, to replace Vardy, really? Because obviously, they knew he was going. So is it just the people they bought in aren't going to deliver the same sort of goals, or is it they need a bit of time to get up to speed? Because we had the same thing. We were talking about it for the first 5 or 6 games of the season. Not getting a decent striker in was costing us points, and it sounds like it is you as well.
Yeah, I think even for the last few years, we've always said, we're having to still rely on Vardy to score goals just because of the level of he's at compared to anyone that we could probably get in is nowhere near the level. So it's hard, and we're facing it now with no really real striker to even be in contention with scoring 10 plus goals this season. Daka, when we first brought him in, back when we were in Europe, which is funny to say now, but yeah, he was meant to be Vardy's replacement because at that time he was banging in goals with Haaland. Now he's been here for 4 or 5 years. He's probably scored a maximum of 20 goals, and that's probably reaching. But like I said, he scored yesterday, a very decent finish as well. But yeah, and then we've got Jordan Ayew, who I absolutely despise because of how he kind of plays. He plays a defensive sort of style that I just don't even think even needs to be. He got given the number 9, which I'm like, that's just absolutely a joke. And then we've got.
Should they have retired it? Do you think?
Giving
it a couple of years off.
There was a debate where it's like, do you really give it to someone who's not Vardy because he obviously he's gone, and do you retire it? But I'm like, there's going to be more number 9s going forward that probably will never get to the level of him, but will be somewhat close, and would think if you've got that to kind of compare to Jordan Ayew, then surely anyone could take that number 9 and go, yeah, it's mine now. But yeah, but then our other striker in Carranza, we obviously brought him in on loan as well from Feyenoord. I think he got 5 goals last season for them. He wasn't really playing, and he was in the MLS before that. And when you look at YouTube and you see all the highlights of how great these players are, you look and think, do you know what? He looks a decent player, but he just looks a bit too lightweight for this league. Which again, we know that this league needs a bit more of a strength sort of side of things. So
I
yeah,
assume with the striker side of things is that, obviously if you want to get in any sort of guarantee in this division, you've got to spend a bit of money. I assume you've had to pull the purse strings in a little bit. Obviously there's all the stuff going on in the background with the financial fair play stuff. So with Vardy going, I assume there was just not the finance there to go out and spend 15 million on a replacement. Bear in mind, you've already had Daka and Ayew and other options who probably were seen as being good enough to play in this division.
Yeah, well, at the start of the season, I was all up for Ayew being the number 9, but because of how he kind of plays tactically, he never stays up there. Like if you say he's the number 9, he'll be in midfield half the time. So, but that might be the style we play and how he wants to use him. But for me, yeah, like I say, I don't think the club spent any money since January last season because we just think we couldn't afford it. That's why we at the end of last day of the window this season. Just gone. We brought in 3 or 4 loan players, and that was it. No money spent at all. So yeah, we're kind of strapping for cash, and we're apparently meant to be hearing this point deduction news next week. Which
I was going to ask, when is someone going to finally mention the points deduction? But there you go, we got there.
Well, it's building up to it.
Well, yeah, we've kind of been in a bit of a situation where we're thinking, when is it going to happen? If it's going to happen, because obviously last season we escaped it for something else. I don't know the whole facts and stories because it's just like what's this, what's that. But we're apparently meant to know next week if we're getting it, and if it is, how many. People started saying about 9 or 12 points, but apparently it could be only 6 now. Which, looking after the last 2 games and the 2 wins, and if we're as Leicester fans, we're looking at if we can get 2 more wins in the next 2 games until Saturday, then them 6 points has just been taken off the 2 games we've just played. Well, we would have played. So, yeah, I'm glad it's come now instead of the start of the season because I would have hated it being a negative from the start. But yeah,
is it fair? I mean, what's the mood like among the fan base? Is it kind of like, well, it is what it is. It's going to happen. It's done. We've got to take the medicine, if you like, or are they going to be absolutely fuming about it?
No, a lot of fans are kind of like been out, like just getting used to it because we know it's going to happen, or we know something's coming, or if it doesn't, then we'll be all very, very shocked because there's been a lot of things behind the scenes the last few years where I don't know if you heard, but like our owner and the director of football, there's been a lot of talk about bad wages and bad signings and all that. Like I say, we bought Skipping for 25 million, which for me is absolutely ridiculous for a player worse than Winks, who we bought for less than 10 million. So, yeah, there's been a lot of that, and our director of football, John Rookin, there's been many chances, and it even got to the point against Norwich where there was actually chance of death threats on it, which is ludicrous and very, very much over the line. But in the last few weeks, we've had our owner come out and speak to us about he wants the club to get close. He wants to have more communication with the fans, and it just seems maybe a bit too, I don't know, a bit too what's the word? A coincidence that all this comes out just before a point deduction is maybe going to be announced. So I don't know. Again, it's hard to describe. I'm kind of to the point where if we get a point deduction, so be it, because we know the situation is we've overspent.
Yeah. You just want it done so you can get on.
You want it done, and hopefully, like I say, a few weeks ago before the Norwich win, we were in a position where if we get the point deduction, we will be in the bottom 3. But now, if we're looking at it, we've got 2 wins on the bounce. We've had 6 points. If we can get another however many points in the next 2 games, then 6 or 9 points will make it look a lot better than it is.
I wonder if you can appeal it as well, because that tends to happen, doesn't it? They'll tell you that it's 9 points, you'll appeal it, say we'll take 3, and then you'll settle on 6, and that might even drag on a little bit longer. So, for us, Alfie, this is going to be it's going to be a great game now on Tuesday. I'm really looking forward to it. But there are some decisions to be made. You mentioned Wellington already. A few people in the chat saying about Wellington, and could be a better defender, could be an option. Flynn Downs as well. I know on Saturday you said he was kind of rested because he wouldn't play 2 games in a week, and they were saving him for Tuesday. But then we've got Cam Bragg coming in and doing well. You can't change the team, can you? I don't think after a 5-1 win.
Well, he has changed the team. He's changed teams on both occasions. Obviously, they beat QPR, made 1 change. They beat Sheffield Wednesday, made 1 change. So maybe he makes 1 change again, and it's a very subtle change. I mean, there are certain things that aren't going to switch. So, I mean, Bazunu was going to play in goal for sure. The defensive 3 are going to play again for sure. Tom Fellows is going to play at wing back again for sure. Caspiander will obviously play. Amo-Ameyaw will play up front. Finn Azaz and Leo Senza will play either side of him. So for me, the only 2 potential points of change, unless there's an injury we don't know about, is obviously the 2 you mentioned, the left back, possibly in the midfielder. I mean, I know that it's great to have a Leicester fan on because we get a real view of how the players have actually played this season, and football's not played on paper. But like when you look at the players on those wings, Mavididi and Fatawu, it does scare me a little bit. And Glenn made a really good point about the midfield. Wink, Skip, Jordan James is very good for this level. So I don't think this is an easy game. We've lost the last 4 against Leicester in spectacular style on all occasions.
Yeah.
The 4-1 combustion a couple of years ago in September, the 5-0 hammering King Power right before the playoffs, the 2-0 up and losing 3-2 this time last year. And then obviously we lost to what was at the time the worst Premier League team in history. It felt like they were losing every week, hadn't scored a goal since Christmas, and yet we still found a way to get absolutely battered by them and lose 2-0. So I don't think anyone's counting their chickens. It's a bit of a bogey team, Leicester, and obviously we don't need to mention the biggest bogey. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what happens. It'll be a great atmosphere though, mine. I think people are on the same page as you, mate. I think that the St. Mary's is going to be a totally different place to what it was 3 weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll do some predictions in just a moment. Reedy, can I get a prediction from you for the game? How do you think this might go Tuesday?
Well, I'm going down there. I put the day off for it, which obviously is a bit of commitment for there. But I don't know, like you just said, there's so many results the last few games where we've actually shown up and done something. I think this season is a bit different because we've not got the likes of Vardy. But I'd be happy with a draw because we've always said if you get your 3 points at home and a draw away, you'd be more than happy with that. But in the situation we are with the point deduction looking like it's coming soon, I think we need the 3 points, and that's just how it is. So I'm gonna go with a fun 3-2 and just see a load of goals go in.
Fair dues. Are you bringing a few with you as well? Is the away in sold out? What's it looking like?
I don't know if it's sold out. Normally
it's a bit of a trek, isn't it, on a Tuesday night?
We normally do bring a full crowd wherever we go, even if it is midweek. There might be a few empty spots, but yeah, I think we do normally bring quite a lot down to you guys because our stadium is basically the same as your stadium, so
yeah,
it's basically
exactly the same, isn't it? Just different colour seats.
Yeah.
Just one more thing before you go, Reedy. Is that Asmir Begovic you've got in goal
at
the moment?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So we lost. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No. I just remember him from previous games when he was when he was at QPR, and he got a load of stick for being ex-Pompey.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that even though he was 35 years old or whatever and should have known better, he reacted and got himself in a right state, and then he let in a goal, and then he started chasing the referee. And he was a bit of a twat, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well,
he played well on Saturday, didn't he? I think he was. From what I read, he pulled off a few blinders.
No, he's good goalkeeper, but I just question his.
When we first signed him on loan, I was thinking, oh god, it's just going to be another Danny Ward, isn't it? Because we all Leicester fans hate Danny Ward with a passion because of how
he was terrible.
Crap he was. But yeah, Begovic, when he first came in, I was like, do we really need him? But now Stolicic, our main youth academy keeper, who we've obviously brought up from last season, he's done well, but since he's been injured, he's come in, and do you know what? As much as he is really old, he's actually done a very good job. And even with Stolicic coming back, I'd actually keep Begovic in goal. He might not be as good with his feet as what we want him to be, but yeah, his shot stoppings, even on Saturday, was crazy. He stopped probably two chances that should have been goals. So
It's either
You've
that
still
or
got
Joe
this-
Lumley on an emergency loan, isn't it?
You've
So,
still got Yannick Vestergaard.
Yannick
as well.
Vestergaard and Wout Fass as well, which is obviously I know Vestergaard's a Saints
Have I got time to mention the 9-0 again, or?
There you go.
No, that's
No,
all
you
right,
can't,
I'm
I had
afraid,
to.
so- Cheers for joining us.
No worries.
Enjoy the game Tuesday, and we'll catch up with you later in the season.
No worries. See you in a bit.
Hello.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Reedy.
Reedy.
Am I right in thinking you're going on their podcast as well this week, Glenn?
Yeah. I might repeat some of that with more colourful language, depending on
Let's
whether I'm allowed.
make sure you get the points deduction in nice and early.
Yeah, absolutely. 9 points. hopefully.
Right. Let's do some predictions, Glenn. I think you were the only person that predicted that we would win on Saturday. So,
Was I?
well,
yeah.
I think Alfred and I both said draws. I think, but in our predictions league, we had over 130 people that got involved. We had 46 correct results, but unsurprisingly, no correct scores. The closest, James Wills, I think, said 5-3, and Britton Swisher, who went for a 4-0 win. So close, but nobody getting it bob on. Glenn, what do you reckon for Tuesday night?
Well, as I predicted the win against Charlton, I think I'll go for the same again. I think we're on a roll, obviously, and I think the players look like they've got the bit between their teeth at the moment, and I do, like Alfie said, I think there will be a couple of changes. I think possibly Flynn Downs will come back in. I'm not sure that they'll change the left back. Because I think the emphasis will be more on attacking.
Yeah, I agree.
It should help us that Leicester won't sit deep, because they're too good a side in the Championship to park the bus really. So I think they'll come out and try and play. I'm not. Though having said that, when you think about it, Vestergaard and Fast, there's not a lot of pace back there. So maybe they will sit quite deep. I don't know how they usually set up away from home. I just think we've got to put in a high energy performance, and then those two centre backs, those two central midfielders we talked about. Hopefully, we can give them a bit of a run around if we keep the energy high the whole game. So it could be a good one to sort of like use the bench to try and keep the energy levels high all game. And if we do that and things go our way, and if Adam Armstrong has another game from the gods like he did on Saturday, then we'll win it, and I'll go for a 2-1 win.
Brilliant. I take that. Alfie?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I'll back against the Tonda slightly, and I'll just go for a 2-2 draw. Entertainment.
What?
The Tonda.
Oh my word!
It will be televised.
Yeah, very good.
If you want to play along, all you need is your Patreon login. You'll find the leaderboard and how to play on the website. So you head to totalsaints.co.uk. Make sure you get your predictions in before the kickoff. And we'll be back on Wednesday night. We're going to do a podcast on Wednesday night to chat through Leicester and look ahead to Millwall at the weekend as well.